Bitcoin bears continue to spin their wheels and time is running out on their side. Once again, giving the Boolahs a chance for a nice little bounce here, and Meta Signals even supporting that with a nice probabilistic setup in favor of a little bit of short-term upside here. This is a 3-hour time frame setup, as you can see, with target 1 just above $66,000, which is very, very high probability. Target 2 at just under $68,000, which is certainly lower probability, and then target 3, which is just under $73,000, which is very, very low probability here. But overall, this likely does at least lead, or at least play into the overall idea of a bounce we'll go through on this video. Should also let you know that you can still get Meta Signals for free for the first 14 days. Just try it out. Give it a little bit of a whirl. If you like it, stay on. If you don't, then don't. It's that simple. It's so crazy. Anyways, let's just jump right into it, starting off right over here. Following up with that, I always like to look at the daily statistics. Thursday is actually not the most interesting day for Bitcoin. If we just measure all of the Thursdays from the beginning of 2024 till current times, it has been more or less a coin toss in terms of whether it closes positively or negatively. And on the return side, average returns at just under 200% for the positive side versus just over, or close to like 170 on the negative side. It doesn't really give us all that much to be working with here. But let's put that into context in terms of ranges, and then move on to how that can be incorporated into the more, I suppose, holistic view in the medium term here. So from that open to about 2% up, that would put Bitcoin, for reference, just around, actually, target 1 of that Meta Signal setup, just above $66,000, technically speaking, more like 66,300 or so. To the downside, which I do think is less likely, at least today, is would imply likely a retest just around Bitcoin's wick low that we have seen on, what was that, Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. The worst day for the Bitcoin Boolahs. But, ultimately, it does look like things are more or less setting up for a bounce here. And with that Thursday average return on the positive side aligning with, again, the setup over here, I do think that that case for short-term upside gets strengthened, especially when you consider several other metrics, of which the daily stochastic oscillator it's going to turn up today, actually, for the first time since, or certainly in this zone since like mid-April. So it's been, holy shit, that's been like 2 months. It's actually kind of crazy for CME here. Of course, Bitcoin needs to close above 65,500. And again, that's on CME. So there's a little bit of premium over spot price action, but, crossing back up in this direction, again, supportive of a little bit of a short-term bounce. I think that gets that case for short-term upside gets massively strengthened here. When we go ahead and look at the HPDR, in this case, we can see that the HPDR, or not the HPDR is bouncing, but price is bouncing off of the 50% range low on the HPDR. But more importantly here, and certainly more enlightening, is that one, we see volatility contraction after a little bit of expansion on that downside move, which would imply that we do see a move closer to the median, which as of right now is just under $68,000, again, referencing target number 2 over here. And, whoops, wrong chart. And the HPDRO representing directional volatility is about to turn up. So we are very likely to see a mean reversion play here. And wherever the median is going to be a nice little magnet for price action. Now, while Bitcoin is extremely likely to test the median on the daily HPDR bands, doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to test it today. And obviously, if it does, trade sideways today, that's going to come down tomorrow. So it really depends on how quick this bounce happens as to how high it's going to be. Now, again, we have been on this channel saying that Bitcoin unlikely to put in a low until at least Friday, but that Friday is now tomorrow, which is why I do say, why I want to, invoke that sort of imagery of, like a car like turning its wheels, right? And it's kind of like stuck in the mud and it's not really getting anywhere. That's kind of what the downside has felt like here. Yes, we did hit a couple of targets on the downside. We got all the way down, not we, but Bitcoin got all the way down to $64,000, or just a hair below there, which actually was kind of right in the middle of that targeted region. I mean, where exactly was it? Yeah, right there. Actually, pretty much right on it. Okay, cool enough. That's good enough for me. All right. Anyways, going back to it over here. My main sort of idea is still very much unchanged. Today, are we like to see anything like super crazy? Probably not. But assuming that Bitcoin just doesn't, close below Tuesday's low tonight, I think we're looking at a decent bounce sooner rather than later, and timing starts to really come into the equation here, and that's actually going to be massively strengthened at the end of this video, or at least I'll show a few more things on top of that. But yeah, so big happenings going on right here. On top of that, we do see that the daily RSI is going to have a chance to make some hidden bullish divergence. Let me get rid of this circle right here because it's not really relevant to our conversation. In fact, actually none of this is, so let's just get rid of it all. But you can see that the daily RSI on a lower low than what we did see back on over here, which let's put a line through that left nut. And yeah, Bitcoin is on a higher low as far as price action goes. So if Bitcoin does start to confirm a local low here, which certainly will be confirmed if we do see even, target one of these play out, again, on a daily closing basis, then that's going to invoke some hidden bullish divergence. And, we're probably looking at target two at that point, $68,000, maybe even 69. And this starts to look a lot better for, the low coming in. You have to ask yourself, how much time can that take? Well, the more time that this does take, the more and more inherently bullish this will get. And I'm sure that all the pattern drawers in the world will be calling this an inverted derp, the inverted derp with double left derp and even maybe a double right derp. In fact, actually a triple derp. We have left, Quasimodo, head, right, and right. Kind of crazy there if Bitcoin were to turn around here. Again, needs to be confirmed on the other side just yet, but obviously that would be a massive continuation setup as well. Not my favorite way of doing things, but it technically is in there. And if we go ahead and reference volume, it does have the correct volume signature for that to actually make sense, which is, one of the key components of it. So in terms of looking at patterns here, yeah, it plays into the buy. So fair enough. You can see how one domino leads to the next domino. Moving on to actually this is just my bot, my little slave in the background here. Do we want to go over this? Someone asked about it yesterday, I figure. But this is just a back test going to 2018. Probably shouldn't get too much on this, but this video is quite short as of right now, so fair enough. Actually, we're going to be having a big special on this relatively soon, but not that soon. Anyways, you can see someone yesterday was asking me like, how much does my bot trade? Well, sometimes it doesn't trade at all. As you can see, hasn't even taken a trade here since Friday from like 2 weeks ago. And that's just because, those are its parameters. And this is a long strategy. So, not trading into this general downtrend, I'm quite happy with, but it did take a loss before that. Anyways, more onto topic here. I did want to bring into view the last thing. So this is the put call ratio by Capital Investments, the same guy who does a lot of the other sort of more fundamental based stuff that I've been showcasing on this channel. This is actually not technically a fundamentally based thing. Not that matters too much. Put call ratios are very, very important, at least from my experience in traditional markets. In Bitcoin land, it hasn't been like a humongous thing, really, just because, there's not that many people trading options. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. But what is interesting about this, and what someone called out in the Discord, let me make sure you reference this person because I do want to give him credit. Saving Face is one who kind of turned me on to this. We can see that the put call ratio for the current expiration or for the current date is pretty much significantly higher than anything else we've seen ever in Bitcoin's history. The only thing that is remotely close, let me just double check to confirm. Actually, no, it's not even that remotely close, but it would have been on the Rona dump over here and then also on Bitcoin's 2018 cycle low. Other than that, we don't really see anything that's anywhere near, but all these major spikes to the upside have correlated with macro lows. And again, that's essentially suggesting that there's a lot more puts compared to calls. And what typically happens, and I'm speaking as someone who used to be a market maker in equity options, what typically happens with options is that they expire worthless. And in this case, we see a lot of puts are heavily outweighing calls, which puts, if you're not familiar with options, are obviously a bearish instrument if you just use nakedly and longing them. So the idea would be, hey, if we know, statistically speaking, 70% of options expire worthless, well, these puts are likely to expire worthless. And also, what else do we know? Tomorrow, Friday, is a very big expiration date. It's a quad witching date, as we've been speaking about many times on this channel now for the past couple of weeks here, which is also where we typically do see major pivots on markets, either major lows or major highs. And this would more likely correlate with a major low in the making rather than a major high in the making. Of course, this can always all just be massively wrong. I always reserve the right for that. So we want to ask ourselves, what, if occurred, would be indicative that Bitcoin is not going to bounce and is in fact going to fall back down, probably closer to very low 60s, probably between 61 to 62,000 bucks. Any sort of a close lower than Tuesday's low would do that for me. But until then, bounce a lot more likely here. And at the end of the day, that's what we like to play on this channel. Probabilistic setups, that is the focus here after all, which is not for everyone, of course. I mean, it's obviously not for people who are completely illiterate in terms of math or just are fucking morons. But it's kidding. But yeah, that's where I'll leave things off for today. Again, Bitcoin failing to continue down to the downside, especially by tomorrow night's closure, Friday. I mean, you're going to start to see me flip around to be having a more bullish tone overall. I mean, it kind of is turning around today, actually. I mean, we have hit a couple of downside targets that we had. The time is being chewed up in terms of, in terms of that. So things are converging in the background, and it's looking more and more like to me that Bitcoin might very well actually even have this low right here. And you'd see that confirmed if you do see Bitcoin back above, especially 68,000 bucks on a daily closing basis, just anywhere above the median here would look pretty damn good for another assault above 70,000 bucks. And hey, maybe even target 3 plays out. But yeah, that's a good place for me to be leaving off. I do want to once again let you know that the crypto school has opened. Whoa. Uh-oh, it's I think it done goofed over here. Let's see. I'll just bring it in. Well, they got one. They almost got it right. Hey, there's my picture. All right, well that's good enough. But again, their signups are still available for the next. Okay, this is wrong, obviously. 15 days. No, it's more like 7 or 8 days. It's about a week away now, next Friday. And we'll actually be having a live stream welcome event next Thursday, which I'm really excited about. And we'll continue to do those, on a weekly basis. And it'll actually be a little bit later in the day, at least for me in Europe, meaning that if you're in the US, well, it'll probably be your morning. In fact, it will be your morning, actually. So we can get some more of my Americans involved in this world. But yeah, it's available for you in the links in the description below. Again, 100% free. It requires an exchange account, but that's your own account. That's your money. That's all you. That's all you, sir. So I'll see all the people who signed up there, hopefully next Thursday. Again, this is our first cohort. It's a little bit of a test run. We don't know if we're going to be doing this again in the future. So if you're, if you're on the edge, it's not really much risk in it, unless if, you just consider opportunity cost, you just fucking hate it. So fair enough. Anyways, I'll be signing off on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow, in which we find out if the timing will indeed work.